The Korean film A Resistance was directed by Kim Soo-hyun and released on the 27th of February in the year 2019. The flawlessly produced movie was viewed by over 1 million people within the first week of its release, making it one of the most popular Korean films of 2019. The film's success continued, and it eventually went on to sell over 3 million tickets, grossing over $10 million at the box office. The film was a critical and commercial success. Aside from being one of the highest-grossing films in the Korean industry in 2019, Soo-hyun's film was also awarded Best Film at the 2019 Buell Film Awards and the 2020 Grand Bell Awards. These are two of the highest honors to receive in the Korean film industry. Cho Min-ho, the director of the film, was born in South Korea in 1969. He began his career as a film critic, writing articles for the Korean film magazine Cine 21. In 2002, he made his directorial debut with the short film The 20s Law. His first feature film, Ganghyuk, which released in 2006, was a huge success, and it even won several awards at the Busan International Film Festival. Cho's films are often historical dramas that explore themes of power, corruption, and resistance. He's known for his strong visual style and his ability to create complex and nuanced characters. His films have been praised by critics for their intelligence, emotional power, and their historical accuracy. The cast of A Resistance was very well selected and included some of the biggest names in Korean cinema. The first character in the film is Yoo Gwon-sun, played by Go Eun-sun. Yoo Gwon-sun is a young Korean woman who becomes an independence activist during the Japanese occupation of Korea. She's arrested and tortured by the Japanese, but she refuses to give up her beliefs. Another important character in the film is Kim Jong-mi, played by Jeong Ha-dam. Kim Jong-mi is Yoo Gwon-sun's best friend and confidant. She's also an independence activist, and she's arrested and tortured alongside Yoo Gwon-sun. The film also features several other notable performances, including Kim Nam-jim as Choi Jang-gyun, a lawyer who is sympathetic to the Korean independence movement. Kim Sae-byuk as Kim Buk-sun, a young woman who is arrested and tortured for her involvement in the March 1st movement. Ryu Kyung-soo as Shin Ki-jae, a Japanese prosecutor who is tasked with interrogating Yoo Jong-sun, and Choi Moo-sung as Yoo Gwon-sun's father, a man who is proud of his daughter's patriotism but also worried about her safety. The cast of Resistance brings the film's characters to life with their powerful performances. They also help to make the film a moving and inspiring story of the fight for Korean independence. The film begins with Yoo Gwon-sun participating in the March 1st movement, a nationwide protest against Japanese rule. The protest is violently suppressed by the Japanese, and Yoo is arrested and imprisoned. She is tortured and forced to renounce her beliefs, but she refuses to give up. Yoo is eventually released from prison, but she's still under surveillance by the Japanese. She continues to fight for Korean independence, giving speeches and organizing protests. She is eventually arrested again and sentenced to death this time. Yoo is executed on March 21st, 1920, but her death sparks a wave of protests across Korea. The protests are so large that the Japanese are forced to release many of the other independence activists who are being held in prison. Yoo Gwon-sun is eventually recognized as a national hero, and her story is still told today as an inspiration to those who fight for freedom and justice. The film is set during the Japanese occupation of Korea, which lasted from 1910 to 1945. During this time, the Japanese government suppressed Korean culture and language, and it imprisoned and tortured those who resisted Japanese rule. Yoo Gwon-sun was one of the most prominent activists in the Korean independence movement, and she was arrested and tortured on several occasions. However, she refused to give up her beliefs, and she continued to fight for Korean independence until her death. A Resistance is a powerful and moving film that tells the story of a young woman who fought for her country's freedom. The film's messages and themes are complex and multifaceted. On one level, it is a powerful story of courage and resilience in the face of oppression. Yoo Gwon-sun is a remarkable figure, and her determination to fight for her country's independence is an inspiration. One of the most important messages of the film is that even the smallest act of resistance can make a difference. Yoo Gwon-sun was just a teenage girl when she began her activism, but she was able to inspire and mobilize a large group of people to fight for their country's freedom. The film shows that even when faced with great odds, it is important to never give up on your dreams. What stood out to me most about the film was the strength and resilience of the characters. Yoo and the other women in the film were subjected to horrific torture, but they never gave up their fight for freedom. The film is a reminder that even in the darkest times, there's always hope. Another thing that stood out to me was its depiction of the Japanese occupation of Korea. The film does not shy away from showing the brutality of the Japanese forces, and it is a reminder of the dark history of colonialism. The scenes of torture are particularly harrowing, but they are also necessary to show the true cost of freedom. However, the film also shows the strength and resilience of the Korean people who refuse to give up hope in the time of adversity. Additionally, the film does a good job of depicting the complex relationship between Korea and Japan. The Japanese are portrayed as the enemy, but the film also shows that there were some Japanese who sympathized with the Korean independence movement. I learned about the history of Korea's independence movement, and I was inspired by the courage and determination of Yu Guan-sun and the other Korean independence activists after watching this film. I also learned about the importance of fighting for freedom and justice even in the face of great odds. Overall, A Resistance is a powerful and moving film that is sure to stay with you long after you watch it. It is a film that is both educational and inspiring, and it is a film that I highly recommend.